It's time for a refresh and do some maintenance before we get the bike on the road for the season. And we just finished doing a complete overhaul in terms of oil change and filter and putting some fresh blood in the bike. V4s are a little bit tricky when it comes to doing maintenance. It takes a lot of time and patience to make sure you get the leveling just right. We're gonna do a full coolant flush. We're gonna use engine ice for the bike. It's less slippery in case of a mishap. Most people tend to use that on the track. However, this is for street application. Lastly, we're gonna throw on the Performance Technology heat sink hose. I'm told it's supposed to drop the overall temperature by 4%, 4 to 5%. Hopefully it helps throughout the season.
Money work. El mundo quiere dinero.
Taking precaution by loosening this up a little bit already earlier. These are 4 millimeters, by the way. Perfect, first winglet is out. These does require a little bit of Loctite, so heads up when you're putting them on. I'd say use blue Loctite. The factory did add some red Loctite, which I don't recommend. Create a huge issue trying to get these off. All you basically need to complete this job, 4 millimeter T-handle. There you go, that second winglet is out. $4 mil. There's a washer. That means it goes against something. That came right off, fairly easy. And this panel simply, I think, lift and push forward or back. I haven't taken this off in a little bit on a StreetFighter, so let's see here. You don't want to be rough with this. You want to kind of, oh, there's a screw on the inside. This is why you don't want to be rough with it. You never know when you're going to encounter something else that you didn't screw. I like working on the StreetFighter quite a bit, but it's been a while since I've taken it apart. And that's why it's important to take your time. Yeah, perfect, that came right out as well. And let's see how this comes out. There we go, up and out. I'm gonna put the screw back in here. This fairing's definitely gonna have to come off because with me draining this, that's definitely going to have to come off. So let's bring down the bike from the lift, bring it down a little bit, and then we'll start pulling off the side panel and the battery cover. It's gonna be a 3 millimeter for these guys up here. These guys do have a washer because it goes against the carbon fiber. Always make sure that you're seated properly before you start ratcheting anything off. Perfect. Now we're going to lift our carbon. Straightforward from there. Now, if you guys want to support what I do here on the channel, super important, you hit motivationusa.com for all the parts that I'm talking about that you see on this motorcycle, whether it's Rizoma, whether it's DBK, Performance Technology, Gillis Tooling for a Japanese bike, premium Italian bikes. Shop and support me and support the sponsors that brings you these amazing videos on the channel. It needs to be ratchet off here. These are 3 millimeters. Since I already got the bike on the lift, I kept it there, but these might be a little bit easier to get when you turn the steering column. Might need a third or fourth one though, but okay. While we're here, we're gonna do the opposite side as well. These are 3 millimeters. Now you're probably wondering, why am I doing the left-hand side of the bike? There is some work that I need to do on the opposite side as well to replace one of the right-hand side panels that got damaged from red Loctite that was from the factory. So I'll be removing that side as well. There we go. Now this is a little tricky. You're gonna start back here. Kind of slide your hand in between the panel a little bit. Partially hinged in. You can also lift up just like that. It's just basically wedged with Velcro in here. I like to get the back off first. There we go. Perfect. Sounds like it's breaking, but it's not. There you go. See those Velcros? Tough to get out. You want to make sure you see those Velcros. Let me show you guys that. Those Velcro pieces are really tight. And make sure you don't mess this up. And then that's the lift up section. Lift, pull out. There you go. Perfect. All right, so we're gonna get the bike back up so we can start working on this panel here and drain the fluid. We're gonna pull off a couple of 4mm. There's one right here, there's another one up here, that one that's in there to release this shroud, and there's one right below here. So let's start with the easiest ones. So that one's longer than usual. This is starting to break loose. 2 more, there we go. Perfect, got that. Perfect. And then now we're gonna do that final one that's right in here. All right, came right out. There is a washer in there. You're gonna have to loosen this one up as well. That is out now. And now we should be able to, I do have my frame slider on here, so we're going to have to loosen that bolt up. We're not gonna take this completely out, we're just gonna loosen it so we can have access, okay? Okay. Okay. We're not taking that out because that is an engine bolt. Just want to have a little playroom here so we can get this off. Just a little more. All right, that's plenty. Enough loosey-goosey over here, just so I can do this. Take out that washer right in the middle. And make sure this washer don't fall out. Come on, baby. Perfect. What I'm gonna put this back in temporarily. Just don't want to have too much stress on one side of the bike. And now we're up to where we need to be to drain the coolant. This is the drain bolt right down there. We're gonna start by draining it first. And then from there, we can start working on the coolant hose. Now we're gonna drain that old coolant. Get yourself a 10mm. It's not ridiculously tight. Have your little bucket ready. Just gonna shoot out You want to open up that cap on the other side to let that drain. There we go. So you want to definitely open up the other side to let that coolant out. That's what I opened. Oh, come on, you bastards. Oh, it's coming down on the side too. All right, cool. I'm gonna undo this bolt here so we can get this hose moving. Start by removing this one. Perfect. Gonna grab our 7mm right here. This seems pretty loose now. There we go. So now we're gonna work that hose a little bit. It is gonna drop some excess coolant that was inside the hose. Let's see here. You want to kind of work the bottom hose first. That way any excess coolant goes down this way, right? Because if you do up here, it's going to be a bigger mess. The other one you want to take apart is going to be right here. I need another 7mm, which you can't get into with a small ratchet. So you're going to have to be patient and just take your time. It's going to take a lot of time as well when you're doing it with putting it back on. After a ton of finagling, managed to loosen it up a little bit. Have your bucket ready so you can catch that coolant almost out. Keep pushing. Wow, she is deep. Here comes some of that juice, baby. Wow, very little came out. Okay, I'll take that. Wow, very little came out. Now we're gonna work this top area. It's supposed to be the same thing. Let's see if we can get this one out. In terms of preparing, I'm gonna throw a rag on here in case some coolant comes out. And that way it'll kind of somewhat preemptively catch whatever. All right, let's start working that out. This one's a lot easier because I'm able to twist. By the way, definitely give this video a thumbs up because very little people have this video done on the YouTubes. There you go. Coolant hose is completely out. Safe, no damage. All right, a little small spillage here. I'll wipe that off. All right, let's get the new piece on. We're gonna take this apart. So you wanna put this in first, put the opposite side down below, and then finagle these together. That's the way you wanna kind of do this. You're gonna reuse these hose clamps that was on the OEM. Make sure you put it on the right direction. That way you can actually have access to actually screwing it on. And then we're gonna pull off the other one to put on the new one. Just be mindful on the orientation you're putting it. That way it makes your life easier to tighten things down. So keep that in mind. As added precaution, I'm going to check these, make sure they're snug. Again, they're tight, but I'm making triple sure that they're tight already. I'm still getting a little bit of spinning. Same thing for the upper part. Yeah, I still had a little bit of a, there you go. Don't want to risk any kind of leaks because once you put this on, you're not going to have access to tighten these anymore. before we throw this on. There is an expectation of an 8mm gap. Let's put that right there, right here, that you want to keep clear of. So let's shimmy this bad boy on. There is a little bit of a lip. I can see there's some drips happening. Let's clean that up, because we're never going to get access to this anymore after doing this, and I don't want coolant sitting there. All right, let's get this rocket rolling. This is tremendously hard to record this and put it on for you guys. There you go. Looks like I'm getting the shimmy in there pretty good. This is fairly new, so it's not too much of a hassle. The old holes that was in here took a little bit more effort to get out. You want to make sure you're in though. Let's check that. Still room here. There we go. I think I'm all the way in. Best part is, looks like I got that clearance also that I desperately need. And now it's really shimmying this in. I'm gonna loosen this up completely. Yeah, let's get that out. Nice. Alright, we're not gonna make it tight. All we're doing right now is lightly securing. Hit that thumbs up, by the way. I mean, doing this in that tight working space is wild. And now this is your chance to kind of adjust this. Turn this hose a little bit. So you can have that 8mm clearance. Perfect. I'm gonna preemptively loosen this one up. Perfect. That one's loose enough, and get going. These are the challenging parts of this part of the install. There you go. We're working our way in there. There we go. I need to go deeper. You can see the elbows pushing this up. I think even if I get it to sit perfectly, it's still gonna push it. So I'm gonna unhook it and really rework it again. This needs to go in more. Yeah, perfect. Just gonna work this one in deeper, and after that, I think we're pretty much very close to like finalizing it. I've seen where people install this. This is slapping against, you know, the casing. That means this hinge is pushing it back. Once you've loosened this up, this gives you the perfect angle you want, which is fine. And then if this is deep enough into the radiator itself, it's fine. You'll get that 8mm gap and from the frame side. Okay, after a lot of finagling, getting this nice and deep in, and then we'll have to move this down to tighten, which is fine. Now, we're gonna fit this in there. There we go, baby. There we go. Enough clearance. It's not bulging out. More than enough space in there. Yeah. Oh, I'm happy with that. There we go. I think I want to move that screw because I don't like that touching the fairing. So I'm probably gonna loosen this up and rotate it a little bit upwards. And then let's move this into space. This here, bottom. Easy access to tighten. I think this is good. I think this is pretty much golden. Great clearance to the engine. It's not gonna touch the casing. Down here I wanna pivot a little bit because I think that should be, have better clearance. And yeah, we'll start putting coolant back in it. So I kind of slept on this a little bit and saw that that fastener was touching the lower fairing, and I didn't like that very much. I like to be very meticulous when working on the bike. We're going to pull off the lower fairing and see if we can rotate the new heat sink a little bit. There's one here, it's a 4 mil. And then on the inside here, there's another 4 mil. And the way you're gonna identify which is which when you're putting everything back, the one with the plastic washer, that's the one that goes on the painted fairing. Easy to identify that in case if you forgot which is which. Perfect. I think this is a slide back or forward. Oh, there's one more at the bottom. Whew, almost missed one. And that's why you should not pull or yank anything as you're working. Go slow. So this one has a collar. So the lower one is the collar piece or the collar screw. Wow, came right out. There you go. And there's coolant behind it, so it's kind of good that I opened this up a little bit just to kind of clean this mess up a little bit before finalizing the bike. And that's going to expose a 4th screw and a 5th screw here and here as well. Let's get those out of here. Those all have plastic washers. All right, T-handles are your friends. To get these screws off very quickly. There we go. So I'm kind of glad I'm taking this apart because, oh, there's some hose here that fit at the bottom. Wow, it's been a while since I took the StreetFighter apart. Also, a good tip I would suggest, guys, when you're doing this kind of a project, try to take your time and clean the bike. Some of these parts you'll never go back to, you'll never be able to see them. So this is a great opportunity to clean the bike as you're going. And let's see what's the best way to retrofit this on the inside, which is what I'm trying to do here. Tightening things down a little bit. We have our T-handle, 10 millimeter. This one I'm still a little not so happy with. I'm gonna rotate that a little bit back. This gives you really good setup here. There's a little lip that's right here. Just make sure you're not tightening this down onto the lip. You want to go right in a little bit and land. From there you start tightening things down. Let's see if we can move that in just a tad bit. Perfect, that looks good, it feels good. I'm gonna rotate this back a little bit. I know this is at the very bottom, that's great. The issue I was having is when you put the fairing back on, this was touching. So I think I should rotate this up here, which I kind of like where these are hidden a little bit. So let's rotate this one. I would feel more comfortable. Okay, this would be probably the best. Let's do this. Okay, now we're gonna tighten this one. Okay, so everything looks good. This is the one that's a pain in the ass. So we're gonna get cracking on that one and slowly crank away. It's gonna take us a little bit. It's gonna quickly secure the cables coming down to the heatsink. That's how it was before. And I like to kind of do things as they were, not the way I want them to be. I want them to be perfect, as if the bike was done at a dealer. Now I'm gonna tighten the drain bolt. That doesn't mean I'm done. I'm gonna run distilled water through the system, let it sit for a little bit, let the fan kicks in, I'm gonna drain it out. We're gonna do that a couple of times. This is not ridiculously tight. I think this is 6 to 7 Newton meters of torque. So just be mindful. All right, let's get some distilled water in the radiator, run the bike for a little bit, let the fan kick in, and then, you know, drain it again, and then do it twice, drain it again, and then we'll start doing the engine ice in there. I'm gonna remove that panel. Should have removed this earlier, but I didn't. There's a little nib that goes in here. Always tricky to get in and out. Perfect. By the way, this is so easily misplaced. I actually had to order another one for the left-hand side of the bike, which I will be putting on at some point. All right, let's throw some distilled water in here and then fire it up. What you wanna do, you wanna make sure that the cap is open so it can go through the entire system, and then we'll be able to flush it out properly, all right? Even the overflow, you wanna kind of fill a little bit so that way it doesn't get any air in there, but that's when you're doing the final one. But for now, let's fill this bad boy up. I'm sure I'm gonna get some on the floor, so, but it's just water. There's a measurement of you putting in here, which I'll follow closer when I'm actually doing the real coolant. Keep an air shot out. You can hear when it's filling up. I'll put a little bit in there, just so the overflow has some in it. It's right here. There's a measurement that's up here, so keep an eye out. Okay, as you're doing this, take your time. Perfect. All right, I think this is good. Let's fire up the bike, let it run for a little bit. And then we'll flush it out completely. And remember, keep in mind, leave the radiator cover open. Let's fire up the bike. So we're gonna let it run until the fan kicks on. I've let the bike cool down a bit, and now we're going to drain the distilled water out of the bike. So before we do that, I'm gonna cover the radiator top so that way it doesn't just start flowing out. That way I could have a little bit more control. Now we're gonna crack this baby open again. This time I'm prepared because I have a bucket at the bottom. As you can see, it's not flowing. The reason why it's not, it's because I covered that top of the radiator. Now we're gonna open that up real quick, and you should see a steady flow. we go. See, it's still somewhat pink. Yeah, it's a lot lighter. I might have to do this 2 times, 3 times, maybe, because it's definitely still in the pinkish hue. A lot better than the first time around. So, all right, let's run it again and flush it again. We're gonna keep doing it until we get all of the pink stuff out. So we finally managed to drain out all of the distilled water, and we're not seeing any more pink. That means everything is clear. Now what we're going to do, we're gonna start putting the engine ice in here, guys. And what we'll do is I'm gonna open up the drain bolt one more time to kind of siphon any distilled water out. If it's purely blue, we'll know that it's good. If it's light blue or a little bit clear and light blue, that means there's still a little bit of distilled water inside the radiator and in the engine. And then I'm gonna cycle that through a little bit and put a little bit more engine ice. So let's get that started. Let's bring this bad boy down. Fill that in. This is a total of 1 liter. We're gonna throw in there, keeping a close eye on it. There is a sight glass for the coolant on the inside there. It's challenging to see, so there we go. It starts bubbling up. Get a general idea. Let's check it. All right. Looks good. No, not yet. Really empty. I think we got enough in there now. We're going to fill the overflow. Fingers crossed we have no leaks, no nothing. And then just pretty much wrap up. You also want to keep an eye out on the level right over here. All right, let's get it rock and rolling with a startup, and then make sure that everything is Gucci. Let's start it up and check things. Let's bring it up. Now we're going to check coolant. By the way, you should do this when the bike cools down. I'm just prepping it. All right, so while the bike cools off a little bit, I'll still have access to the drain bolt. I'm gonna let that cool off, and I'm gonna put this side panel back on the bike. Start by loosening this up a little bit. And then we're going to loosen this one up slightly. Oh, maybe we might not even have to. Let's give it a shot without having to loosen that up. Get that washer. There's a washer up here. I want to throw that in. It goes right here. Okay, there you go. All right. Let's get that in first. Okay, that one's in as well. This needs to be slightly loosened a little more. Come on, baby. Almost there. Let's get this out a little more. Perfect. All right. That goes there. This is in. Perfect. Let's see here. Right. It's in as well. This is on the outside. That's on the outside too. All right, let's throw this bolt in. Hand tight. Fell right in. Everything is sandwiched properly. You're gonna hand tight. Hand tight. Nothing crazy. Snug enough. Perfect. And now we're gonna do the bottom bolt. Just hand tight. Okay. It's not completely tight. Tight enough though to hold it. We'll torque that down later. Okay, perfect. Those are just tight right now. And then now let's get to work on these bolts. All right, let's start with the bottom one over here. She's kind of tricky. Make sure you have that washer in there. Hopefully you guys catch that. So now we're gonna torque down this bolt. Perfect. Winglets are done. Bike's looking good.